The big company profits keep rolling out, and today is the turn of the NBN Co, the energy generator and retail AGL, and plenty more. Business Editor Ross Greenwood is across it for us. Let's start with the NBN Co. Its half-year revenues at $2.5 billion. But that does it, I should ask? Does it give us a hint whether a privatisation is coming any closer?
Yeah, well, it'll come at some stage. As we go to that, I'll take you some breaking news, and that is we've just heard that the chief executive of the ASX, Dominic Stevens, is going to resign. Now, that's after he's had more than 5 years in that job. The one sort of crowning glory of his time in office is actually something that's been delayed now by 2 years, and that is trying to convert the ASX onto a blockchain system. But there have been problems. It's been delayed. He will now go before that system even gets up and running, which is not expected until next year. But getting back to NBN, you're quite right. What you've got there is a monopoly, but you've got a monopoly that is under some pressure. There are already true private syndicates, apart from others, rolling out their own high-speed fibre optic cable around Australia, including Telstra, with announcements only earlier this week. So if we have a look at the NBN Co results, though, what we can see is really here. You can see revenues are growing strongly. Now, the earnings before interest and tax, the profit, if you like, is $1.5 billion. The debt is coming down. Now, ARPU is the average revenue per user. So in other words, households, what are they paying? Well, at the moment, they're paying $46 a month. So that's up $1. And so this really starts to show you just a little bit about the mechanics that are driving it. And it's clearly at the right time, the object of the government, at least the current government, to privatise the NBN. But in the meantime, it still needs to continue to upgrade and roll out its own services now, which are more than, well, around about 82% of the nation covered by NBN, it says in the statement today.
Right, okay, so a lot to get our head around there. AGL is also pretty interesting today. It's splitting in two and has also said it will bring forward the closure of two of its biggest coal-fired power stations.
All right, so bringing it forward, but what they're saying basically is one of them is going to be closing Loy Yang A in 2045, the other one in New South Wales, Bayswater, in 2036. They've been castigated, no surprise here, by Greenpeace this morning as a result of this, saying they should have been trying to bring them both forward until 2030. Also, this year, AGL will close the Liddell Power Station. That's going to take place in the next few months in New South Wales. But what AGL is doing is splitting itself in two. Now, that's going to happen before June this year. And effectively what will happen is that the assets and even the retail assets will go into a company called ACCEL, which is ACCEL. The other one will be called still AGL, and that will have none of the coal-fired power assets in it. So this is the way in which it's changing. We can have a quick look and just see the results and how they've actually played out as well today, because here you can see the profit is down 41%. Now, the reason for that is because of a collapse in wholesale energy prices. With business not working because of lockdowns, there's been less energy usage in Australia. There's been more generated because of more solar in particular that's been out there. And as a result, the profit is down because of the lower wholesale prices. The dividend has also, as a result, been cut because of this.
Okay, very interesting indeed. Always keep across property developers as too. Mervac has its profit result out today as well. House prices are soaring. Of course, the property market has been booming despite COVID, so I assume this is good news.
Yeah, it is good news, Laura. The interesting thing about this is, if you think about it, property development sort of stopped, apartment development in particular, where many of the Chinese developers and investors went home. But broadly, because of housing prices rising so fast, and now apartment prices starting to move as well, you'll start to see the cranes appearing as the developers try and catch up with the demand for property in Australia. So here, Mervac's result today was strong, as you suggest. So we can have a look at that one, and you can see here that the revenue, $1.7 billion. That one is up by 48%. The net profit is up by 44%. So again, really strong. No surprise here. If you're in the business of selling houses or apartments right now, you're probably in the right business at the right time of the economic cycle.
Yeah, I think so. Many of us aren't. Finally, we spoke yesterday here on Agenda, in fact, to the boss of electric vehicle charging company Tritium. It's a great story. Joe Biden has been extolling its virtues as it announced its first US plant, but its shares took off overnight. Is that right?
astonishing. So this is quite amazing. So Tritium was one of the great Australian stories, as you explained yesterday when you spoke with Jane Hunter, the chief executive of it. It started really from the solar challenge, where university students make vehicles, solid, powered only by solar panels that go across Australia. From there, the invention turned into being able to recharge electric vehicles. Tritium was last year given the award of the best solar vehicle recharging stations in the world. It got a big contract from Shell. It's opened now. It will open a massive plant in Tennessee. Here in Australia, it can produce about 5,000 of these machines per year, these recharging machines. There, it's likely to be 10,000 or more per year that they'll end up being able to do. On the markets overnight, on NASDAQ, which had a great night, those shares jumped 64%. Think about that, Laura, in one night. These shares, in fact, have jumped from $6.50, go back a week ago, to $15.70. You can see here what's happened, up 70%. And so that shows you that, A, many people are now backing the Tritium and its chargers, invented in Australia, in Queensland, will be the standard around the world. Its main competitor in Sweden is the other one. But right now, with that big manufacturing plant in Tennessee, that's the reason why the share price has jumped so significantly today.